Hello everyone, and welcome to Season 5, Episode 43 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host, Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches in NXT history with match number 8 on our list, which is the NXT title match between the champion, Johnny Gargano, and the challenger, Adam Cole, from the NXT TakeOver 25 event held on June the 1st of 2019. This is going to be a blasphemous statement to a lot of people, but if their match at NXT TakeOver New York, which was 2 out of 3 falls for the title, is, the Clash 6 Ragin' Cajun, match, then this is the Wrestle War to that. So obviously comparing them to Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat, hence, the blasphemy there. But, what I mean by that is these guys had a 2 out of 3 falls match that, ran longer than this one for the title in New York. It was great, highly emotional match. This was the rematch, but, normally when you have a feud, it escalates into these stipulations matches. But this one went the opposite route, where after 2 out of 3 falls, they just went to a straight up match. And it's really a pick-em as to what you think is better. Some people prefer this match, others prefer the 2 out of 3. But you know what you are getting from these two wrestlers. I think this is a absolutely wonderfully wrestled, basically flawless match. But, the criticism that both Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano would get is, that overly kind of rehearsed style of wrestling. They have all of these just incredible, counter sequences and, these meticulously timed out sequences in this match that are, breathtaking to watch and for me, incredibly captivating. But, there is a fan base out there that, want more, gritty realism in their wrestling matches. So, what you're going to get from these guys. To me, when these two locked it up for their series in 2019, it really did feel kind of similar to Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels to me, in a sense that, these are two guys that are both undersized. Yes, it's NXT, so it has more of that indie feel to it. But, you have two undersized guys, that have both managed to get themselves incredibly over, just through sheer work ethic, in the WWE system, getting the opportunity to go against each other and really showcase what they can do. And, for so many of, Shawn Michaels' title defenses, he was against larger opponents, and same with Bret. So, it's until they really clashed with each other, you didn't really get that kind of comparable, that new generation feel, we'll call it, right? Where these are, the two guys that are going to carry the company going forward. And it's, very ironic that this is how this match felt to me in 2019, which was, not even 3 years ago at this point. But, now we look at it, Adam Cole's in AEW, Johnny Gargano, we don't know yet, at the time of this video being recorded. He might be headed there, though. And it's crazy to see, that NXT system fall apart and so many of these guys go elsewhere and, are really starting to thrive. This match, though, like I said, if we look at the Bret and Shawn comparisons a little bit more, right? Gargano, started as the tag team guy in DIY, and he was kind of the breakout star of the team and really got over by showing, his wrestling prowess, Johnny Wrestling and, the amount of heart and soul he pumps into all of his matches. Whereas Adam Cole, kind of came in as the cocky, arrogant singles wrestler, right? With the chip on his shoulder, very much that Shawn Michaels, kind of side of things. And, I've talked about this before. It's not a coincidence that, Shawn Michaels is so heavily involved with NXT because the influence is certainly there. This match, though, it's so smartly done. Very early on, in the opening sequence, we get all of these great counters and we almost get the Gargano escape and we almost get the last shot, because those are moves that they were able to win falls with in the 2 out of 3 falls match. When Adam Cole realizes that he has to take a different approach in this one and he bails and has to slow it down and he tries to make it a little bit more of a brawl, but Gargano sticks to that, speedy kind of quick pace counter wrestling that he does so good. And they do, a counter sequence on the floor, coming in and out of all of their moves. And Gargano gets the cannonball off the apron. He goes for a tope, and Adam Cole goes for the enziguri on the floor to cut it off, which is a spot he does often, but Gargano has it scouted. Cole misses that. Gargano hits the punk kick to the arm on the ring apron, a double stomp off the apron onto the arm, and now he has his target. So Gargano spends lots of time in this match working the arm. Adam Cole, in turn, ends up getting his target, which is the leg. They go for like a top rope spot, but Cole manages to kind of like slink out and super kick the knee out of Gargano while he's on the top rope there. And he's able to take advantage for that. And, you know, Cole uses the figure four as a bit of a, pardon me, it's this kind of flip side of the equation, where Cole uses the figure four as a submission, and Gargano, you know, uses the Gargano escape, which has that, you know, that arm lock with the crossface. So it makes natural sense that they would have these targets that they could go to in this match. And it creates, you know, this little story within these guys, you know, doing all of these big elaborate move exchanges. They do lots of callbacks to the 2 out of 3 falls match here. Gargano, he's been including all of these little callbacks to, you know, Tommaso Ciampa, his on again, off again, you know, partner rival throughout all of these matches, and those aren't missed here. We get like callbacks with things in the match itself. So like I mentioned, you know, Cole gets the advantage of super kicking the knee out on Gargano. He goes for that again later, and Gargano's able to avoid it. But, you know, then jumps back into a lung blower. So they have all of these clever little things. They run through all of their big offense, of course, which is great. Cole is really, really good here. There's, you know, just focusing that attack on the knee, but faking out his normal offense into it. So, you know, he teases going for the Panama Destroyer, and as he comes down, you know, Gargano's prepared for it, so he super kicks out the knee. Speaking of super kicks, they do this just wild super kick exchange here, where they both go for it and kind of see the other going to hit it, and they stop short, and then they trade super kicks. And then Cole, you know, teases a super kick and kind of does like the Marty Scurll, like, just kidding thing. But Gargano has that scouted, so knows the super kick to the bad knees coming. But then Gargano just blasts him in the head with it instead. So these great little twists on the signature offense that these guys would do. And it ends up with both of them going to the floor and hitting, you know, super kicks in stereo to each other, which, you know, was just kind of like a wild thing. And the crowd is so great here, just, you know, coming unglued with the responses to these. And again, it depends what you look for. You could see something like that and think it's kind of hokey and, you know, and so premeditated and predetermined, but for me, it was exciting, right? They had used the floor at the start of the match for this counter sequence that they did, and it makes sense that they would naturally kind of go back out there and do this. They do another really nice spot, you know, playing off the knee injury to Gargano, where he goes for a reverse Rana, and it's blocked, and, you know, jams out his knee, and that allows Cole to hit the enziguri, which he missed earlier in the match, and does like an inverted Ushigoroshi, so like almost out of like a burning hammer position, which was really cool. And again, a twist on the signature offense, because Cole knows that, you know, the regular way Gargano might have a counter for that, and leaves him in a better position, you know, to grab that arm or grab that Gargano escape. After they do the double super kicks on the floor, you know, we have this great, you know, count out break. But as they're both coming into the ring to break the count out, Gargano comes over the top rope and hits the one final beat for 2, which was a really, really good near fall. Gargano at this point, you know, knows that his leg is maybe more injured than Cole's arm is, so he's trying to avoid these shots to the leg as best as he can. Cole goes for a chop block at one point, and Gargano kind of jumps over it and hits a double stomp to the head. You know, Cole is constantly kind of using the floor in this match and trying to bail and stretch things out like he did in the, you know, the opening going. So, you know, after that happens, again, Cole goes out and Gargano's coming through the ropes, and Cole hits the cutoff enziguri, but this time to the leg of Gargano as he's coming through the ropes. And it allows him to hit the brainbuster on the knee on the floor and get a really good near fall off of that. Gargano eventually gets the Gargano escape. You know, Cole counters that into the figure 4. So, you know, that very much Benoit angle kind of, you know, submission trading back and forth that's become, you know, so commonplace in a lot of big matches now. So they do that here, but something that I really liked is, you know, while Gargano was locked in this figure 4, he grabs the arm of Cole and uses that to pull for leverage to turn the move over, which was really, really good. Cole goes for the figure four again, gets kicked through the ropes, and then hit with the Willow's Bell, the DDT through the ropes that Ciampa would do. We saw Ciampa do that exact sequence in his match with Velveteen Dream. So again, you know, Gargano really going to that playbook. But he tries to follow that up with a tope and does a tope right into a super kick, which was pretty wild. And Cole ends up hitting the Panama Destroyer on the floor. Again, you know, incorporating that floor story that they've been using out of the match, you know, for the match. That's only good for 2. And then we roll into the big, you know, strike changing, big move changing, everybody hitting everything for 2 that you would eventually expect for these guys. But then we kind of run into our finishing sequence. And the thing that I really love about this match, and I talked about this, if you remember, in Johnny Gargano's match with Kushida, is that NXT and wrestling in general, say, becomes so over-reliant on interference to build up this drama and these false finishes in all of these big matches. Cole has his stable. He has the Undisputed Era. It would make natural sense that they would, you know, interfere in this match, which is something I'm so burnt out on in wrestling in general. I don't need it. I don't care if you know, heels cheat and try to find their advantages. I think that's part of their character. But the outside interference, it doesn't do it for me. It makes everything feel cheap and diluted. So they did a little bit of interference in the 2 out of 3 falls match. And there's a point here where the referee gets wiped out because Cole goes for a chair and just kind of uses it as a diversionary tactic. But, you know, while the referee and Cole are fighting over the chair, Gargano goes for the tope and ends up taking out the ref. You know, so Gargano has this advantage. And something that I thought was amazing is Cole starts to call for the Undisputed Era to come out, right? Just like they did in New York, you know, just like they would really in any one of his matches. And Gargano has the chair and he's, you know, holding that chair to kind of, you know, wield it to fend off the Undisputed Era he's expecting to come out. But while he's doing this is giving Cole this great opportunity to recover because he had taken so much punishment and went through so many near falls from Gargano that it allows him, you know, as Gargano realizes that they're not coming and comes back through the ropes, it allows Cole to hit the pile driver through the ropes, the heat seeker that MJF calls it. And he's able to hit that, which gets him a 2 count, you know, as the referee, of course, is, you know, revived just in time to be able to count that fall. But again, it was just this great little twist where you expect the shenanigans and you expect, you know, to be disappointed by what's about to happen. But they don't go that route in this match. Even though it has those little heel tactics from Cole, it feels overall like this very clean match. And therefore, you know, with the finish, you're left so much more satisfied with it than you would be, you know, in any other way. So Gargano is about to get hit with the last shot. And he kind of, you know, collapses on it. Again, very much a Bret Hart tactic, right? The Bret Diesel finish. But he uses this to bait Cole into getting the Gargano escape. Something that I thought was so great is, you know, Cole is you know, definitely going to try to counter that back into the figure 4. So Gargano kind of crosses his leg over. So, you know, Cole can't grab it to get that advantage to turn it back into the figure 4. You know, he rolls it back into the center of the ring. So we get this high drama. You know, it seems like, you know, Cole's going to tap. Gargano had just won the title, you know, 2 months prior. So it really feels like this is going to be that successful defense. They do a great job building the anticipation and the drama for that. But Cole's able to just start pounding the bad knee of Gargano. He hits another super kick to it. He goes for the Panama Destroyer. Gargano sits down into a roll-up, which was how they finished the fall in their 2 out of 3 falls match. It only gets 2, and as Gargano rolls back to his feet, his knee gives out. It keeps him open for another Panama Destroyer out of nowhere, and the last shot for 3. We get a title change here. I was not expecting it. Gargano, you know, basically just transitioned the title, you know, from Ciampa, who suffered that injury, to Cole to kind of keep the belt on that heel. At the time, I wasn't expecting that. I thought Gargano, you know, was destined to have this long title reign, you know, that with this belt that had been eluding him. So it was a very surprising finish. On this night, Cole definitely felt like the better man, but it definitely felt like, you know, there was so much more they could have gotten out of these two. And I've talked about it so much, you know, the takeover matches in 3s where, you know, they're so reliant on having, you know, 3 TakeOver main events with the same guys. And by the time we get to the third, it feels so unnecessary. And that would happen here. These guys would main event NXT TakeOver Toronto 2, SummerSlam weekend in 2019. They would go 2 out of 3 falls once again. This time, 3 stages of hell with different stipulations. And the match much like the last man standing match between Gargano and Ciampa, it felt excessive, it felt unnecessary, and it fizzled out and wasn't, for me at least, much of an enjoyable match whatsoever. This one, though, was absolute gold. It's 2 fantastic wrestlers with amazing chemistry going out there, no bells, no whistles, having an excellent title match, going almost 30 minutes, but keeping it compelling with a hot crowd, an unexpected finish, and something that felt incredibly, incredibly rewarding. So I've talked about how this match is, comparative to the 2 out of 3 falls match, and some, prefer one to the other. So based on this match coming in at number 8, you haven't heard about the other ones, so you can kind of know which one I prefer, but more on that for another time. You can watch this excellent match, though, of course, on Peacock. If you're outside the US, it's available on the WWE Network. You can subscribe to my channel here on YouTube so that you never miss a video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50, and please join me again tomorrow as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50.